All right, be honest. Is that the first time anybody in this room's ever seen anything on CNN? You can tell me. It's fine. Do we have any viewers here? We're among friends. We got a few hands. Yeah, there's one. There's a couple. Thank you for doubling our audience. We appreciate it. Ryan, thank you. Good to see you again, sir. The main thing about being a Kentucky Colonel, Sage, is that we have to stand our post in case we decide to invade Indiana. So Ryan and I are preparing for that all the time. President Costin, thank you for having me here. Lee Allen, good to see you. And Liz, thank you for having dinner with me tonight. Always good to see my friend Liz. She lives in Cincinnati, so we're close to each other. Sage, you are such an inspiration to me and to so many. Sage Steele, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the best things we got going right now. When you had me on your YouTube show and we had a chance to spend some time together, I'll just tell you, I mean, being interviewed by former Sports Center anchors, it would go Sage Steele, Keith Olbermann would be down here somewhere. Sage Steele here, Keith Olbermann here, and just so we're all clear about that. Well, I'm beyond honored to be here with all of you all this evening. I'm humbled to be here with you and on this campus. It's an honor to be at Liberty, which has never wavered in its mission to train champions for Christ and to send men and women of conviction into every corner of our culture. From the vision of Dr. Falwell to the thriving world-class university that you have here today, Liberty is a testament to what happens when faith, freedom, and education combine for a higher purpose. This campus has shaped leaders in ministry and business and in media, law, public service, people who understand that character and courage still matter. They understand that truth is not relative. They understand that our calling is to live boldly for something greater than ourselves. And tonight, I want to speak to you all about what I think that calling is. It is my sincere belief, whether you know it or not, that every person in this room is currently on the front line of the fight for the future of Western civilization. And I've been involved in politics, as Ryan mentioned, for a long time now. 25 years. Tomorrow I turn 48. Over half my life I've spent in service to the conservative cause. Candidates have come and gone. The issues of the day have evolved over the years, and goodness knows our opponents have changed. We now face the most radical, anti-American political opposition that any of us could possibly imagine. It is scary, frankly, how much the liberal movement has been hijacked by the enemies of the West, by those who believe that the American founding is rotten at its core, and that it must be ripped out, root and branch. They're no longer liberals. They are illiberal. But our politics, now more than ever, is in fact a fight for the future of Western civilization. Every time I step into the arena over at CNN, I feel like a gladiator. I feel like I'm putting on the full armor of God so that I can stand my ground when the day of evil comes. Yeah. And I'm debating people who are not interested in the West as we are. In fact, I debate people who would very much like to tear it down. And here's one thing that I know. We cannot quit, we cannot stop, we cannot tire, and we cannot fail in our fight for the West. We cannot cede any ground. We cannot cede ground in politics, not in business, not in culture, and especially not in the media. We are on the front lines of the fight that will determine whether our children and grandchildren grow up in a world where the values of Western civilization persevere, or whether they will grow up in a world shrouded in darkness under ideologies and belief systems that are the enemies of human liberty. To say that we are defending Western civilization is to say that we are standing up for the very values that built the free world. Faith, reason, liberty, the inherent worth of every human being. The West is not a place on a map. It is a set of ideas born in Jerusalem and Athens and Rome and carried forward by generations who believed in truth, individual responsibility, and the rule of law. It is the civilization that produced the Bible, the university, the Constitution, that taught us freedom is sacred, not because it comes from government, but because it comes from God. To defend the West is to defend the right to speak freely, to worship freely, to raise our families in peace, and to live by moral conviction rather than mob coercion. And that's why Liberty and this Freedom Center matter so much. This institution is one of the few places left in America still unapologetically dedicated to preserving and passing down the moral and spiritual inheritance of the West. Liberty reminds us that education is not just about acquiring knowledge. It is about forming character. It teaches us that freedom without virtue leads to chaos, and that truth without courage dies in silence. Here in this place, students learn not only how to think critically, but how to stand faithfully, how to be salt and light in a world that prefers darkness and confusion. Liberty is not retreating in the fight for Western civilization. It is leading it. And I think we ought to give a round of applause to the university officials and the folks at the Freedom Center for what they are doing. Their mission is today more clear than it has ever been. Now, we are gathered here tonight in a strange moment. We are in the shadow of something terrible. Just last month on a college campus in Utah, our friend was murdered. He was killed for speaking his mind, for defending conservative values, and for being an unapologetic Christian. Now, Charlie got something that a lot of people miss. He knew that we aren't just arguing about politics as usual anymore. We're not disagreeing about tax rates and health care plans. We are in a fight for the soul of this nation and for the future of the West. That's what keeps me up at night, and I think it's what kept Charlie up at night as well. We are watching the basics of our society come under constant attack. The radical left, the enemies of the West, are going after anyone who builds anything, believes anything, or stands for anything. When you look at the pattern of violent attacks that have been going on for months against our Jewish brothers and sisters, against private companies like Tesla, against federal law enforcement officers, against Charlie, against anyone who poses a threat to the march towards the destruction of the West. When you look at this, you must see that their message is pretty clear. Shut up, or we will shut you up. Now, Charlie heard that loud and clear everywhere he went. And what did he do? He got louder every single day. He understood something important. And I face this every night myself. When they tell you to shut up, when they begin to talk over you, when they're fussing at you to stop, when they start yelling, it's because they know they've already lost the argument. When they try to silence you, they know it's because they can't beat your ideas with better ideas. When they resort to violence, it's because they've already lost the debate. And here is what really drives them crazy. The conservative movement, and yes, the Republican Party, has become the party of normal, everyday, working people. We are the party of common sense. We are the only party that's left that is willing to simply say what everyone else is already thinking. People ask me all the time, what does the Republican Party believe in 2025? You've been around a long time. Hasn't it changed? Sure, there have been changes. Leaders come and go. They all leave their imprint on our platform as they are in the arena at the moment. But to me, the answer today is very simple. We are the party that knows the difference between men and women. We are the party that believes American citizens should become before illegal aliens. We are the party that believes you should keep more of what you earn. We are the party that believes in protecting human life, born and unborn. We are the party, the only party, that fights for women. Our precious women who, under the radical ideologies of the left, are being erased from our culture. We are the only party fighting for true civil rights because we believe in truth, God-given, immutable truth when it comes to gender. If you can erase someone's gender, then you can erase them from the law. And we will not permit that to happen to the women of this country. We are the party that believes in free speech. We are the party that fights for the future of the West. And as the President has told everyone, we are the party of common sense. Now, right now, we are in the midst of a revolution of common sense, thanks to this president. Look at his coalition. It's working people, parents who are sick of their children being indoctrinated in schools. It's young people who've figured out they've been sold a bill of goods. And it's Christians who are tired of being driven from the public square simply because they won't give in to the spirit of the age. It's everybody in this room who's tired of being told that up is down and right is wrong. Sometimes people ask me, Scott, do you get along with the people that you work with on a daily basis? Are you friends with these people? Some of us are. For a few of us, we open our hearts and our ears to each other before we open our mouths, which is a good rule for punditry, and it's a good rule for life for you college students out there. But I tend to gravitate to the people who argue in good faith and in good humor. They do exist. But I do encounter people who are angry, who use the language of hate. You all have heard it. They call us racist, fascist, Nazis. You've heard it. Liz has heard it. You know. As we build this coalition of common sense, as we fight for the West, what is happening to the other side? Why are they so angry all the time? They are headed in the exact opposite direction. If we are the party of common sense, they have for some reason embraced becoming the party of uncommon nonsense. I'll just say out loud what a lot of you already know and what most Americans have already concluded. The Democratic Party has completely lost its mind. Now, I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm just stating facts. The last poll I saw said they had a 24% approval rating. That's not a political party. It's barely a group chat. The party of FDR has become the party of DNR. Do not resuscitate. And is it any wonder why? Because they care more about pronouns than paychecks. They care more about criminals than victims. They care more about illegal aliens than American citizens. And they are hostile to people of the Christian faith. They become the party of weirdos and scolds, of people who think your 5-year-old needs to know more about gender fluidity than phonics. They want to control everything. What you can say, what you can think, what car you can drive, what stove you can have in your kitchen. They want government making decisions that you should be making for yourself with your family. And if you disagree, if you speak up, if you push back, just as a matter of politics or a matter of faith, well, we saw what happened to Charlie. We saw what nearly happened to our president last summer. We saw what happened in Minneapolis to those poor children. We saw what happened in Nashville to those poor children. Ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you tonight that we have seen enough. Enough. But here's the good news. The good news is really good news. President Trump's revolution of common sense is working. In him and in all of you, those who are fighting for the West are swinging back and swinging back hard. The results are clear. It is working, and he's driving his enemies crazy. You see the battle lines. You see what our president and our vice president are doing, our Secretary of State. I couldn't be happier. I assume you all feel the same way. This is what winning looks like. This is what happens when you put normal people back in charge of our government. This is what happens. Now, Charlie understood something critical about the left. It's vital that we understand this. They hate success. They hate it when people make it on their own. They hate it when you don't need them. Think about what they teach their and our kids. That America was founded on racism, that our country is rotten at its core, that capitalism is evil, that hard work is for suckers, that merit is a dirty word, that the nuclear family is oppressive, that faith, the Christian faith, is for idiots and rubes from places like Kentucky and Virginia. Is it any wonder why Charlie spent his life trying to reach young people on college campuses? He saw what was happening. Professors who care more about indoctrination than education, and administrators who care more about feelings than facts. A whole system designed to pump out bitter, angry, dependent people who hate their own country. Charlie said, "No more." Now, when that shooter pulled the trigger in Utah, he thought he was ending a movement. He thought if he killed Charlie Kirk, he could kill what Charlie stood for. He thought that the rest of us would get the message, that we would heed the warning. Silence yourselves or we'll do it for you. That's what they thought. But what happened after Charlie died? Thousands of kids who'd never been political before were asking, how can I get involved? Parents who'd been asleep at the switch woke up and realized exactly what was at stake. In trying to silence one voice, they created thousands of voices. In trying to end one conversation, they started millions. And that's the thing about faith and freedom. You cannot kill them. You can try to suppress it. You can try to silence it. But it always finds a way, like water finding cracks in a dam. As was mentioned, I have 4 boys back home in Kentucky. 16, 12, 10, and 8. We do have 35 laying hens. That's also true. All hens. We got a rooster by accident once. If any of you all are in the chicken business, I don't recommend it. They crow all day and constantly sexually harass their coworkers. We named our rooster Governor Cuomo. We impeached the governor. I'm sorry to say, he is no longer with us. It's a wild household back home in Kentucky. But when I think about my boys and I think about their future, I don't just want them to grow up in a rich country. I want them to grow up in a good country that believes in the truth, that protects free speech, that celebrates family and the blessings and societal stability that flows from it, and a country where common sense is a virtue and not a vice. A country that can tell the difference between right and wrong, that chooses good over evil, and that sides with civilization over barbarism. And make no mistake, in the last 2 years, we have seen barbarism of the worst kind, perpetrated against the people of Israel. And look what happened in the West. Our media, our politicians, people who know better, sided with the barbarians. Disgusting. But this is what we're all fighting for. Not for an abstract political theory, for real life, for our kids' futures, and for the kind of country and world that we're going to leave behind. And I'll tell you one more thing that I want for them. I want them to grow up in a country that understands where our rights come from. They do not come from government. They don't come from the Constitution. They don't come from the Founding Fathers, as much as we love them all. They come from God. Now, this used to be obvious to everyone. Now it's controversial. Even your senator here in Virginia thinks it's controversial. But the left wants you to believe that your rights, or whatever they are, decide to give you. That's why they can take them away so easily. If government gives you the right to do something, government can take it away. But if your rights come from God, well, that's different. No politician can vote them away. No judge can rule them out of existence. No mob can shout them down. We answer to a higher power when it comes to our rights as human beings, as God's children. This is why the left is so hostile to faith. It's not really about church services or prayer in school. It is about power. They need you to believe that they are the highest authority in your life. But people of faith, everyone in this room knows better. We know that there is something above state, something more important than politics, something that judges the judges. When you understand that your rights are God-given, you cannot be intimidated. When you know that you'll answer to a higher authority than some government bureaucrat, you cannot be bullied into silence. When you realize that truth isn't determined by polling or politics, but by something eternal, you can stand firm even when it feels like the whole world is going insane, or that everyone else in the TV studio has lost their minds. But that's the foundation of our freedom. That's what makes America different. And that is what they are trying to destroy. Let's be real about what we're facing. Many on the left have gone from disagreeing with us to trying to destroy us. They'll throw you in jail right now in Europe if you post the wrong thing on Facebook. Here, they censored you. They tried to lock up your president. They manipulated information that you could see on the doorstep of an election. And now, Charlie is gone. Why? For politics, for power, and for this uncommon ideological nonsense. This is not politics as usual. This is something darker. So here is the choice, and it is the same choice that Charlie made every single day. Do we shut up, or do we speak up? Do we give in, or do we fight back? Do we accept their version of America, or do we insist on the real thing? Now, Charlie made this choice when he was just 18 years old. No money, no connections, no fancy degree, just a kid who loved his country and was not afraid to say so. He chose to get in the arena instead of sitting in the stands. He chose to tell hard truths over comfortable lies. He chose to light a candle instead of curse the darkness. So how do we honor Charlie's memory? First, we reject violence. We win with better arguments, not bullets. We fight at the ballot box, not in the streets. Second, we speak up. We cede no ground. If we don't speak up for our values, no one will. And third, we have to invest in these young people who were so impressive up on this stage tonight. We have to support conservative students here and across the country. We have to teach our kids to think for themselves. We have to show them that America is worth fighting for with words, with votes, and with courage. You have to teach them to love their country, because I can assure you they are being bombarded by people who are trying to teach them to hate it. Every day, young Americans are waking up. They are realizing they've been lied to. They are discovering that they do not have to apologize for being American. Now, this terrifies the left. They need compliance, not questions. They need sheep, not lions. They prefer silence and obedience over speech and ideas. But I think Americans are hungry for the truth. When you give them a choice between being victims or being victors, they will choose victory. When you give them a choice between dependence and dignity, they'll choose dignity. And when you give them a choice between loving America or hating it, they will choose love. We are a nation of patriots, and all we need are leaders like you and leaders like the folks here at Liberty who are strong enough to reclaim and proclaim the freedom on which this nation was founded. Now, last month, Charlie sat at a table on a college campus doing what he did best, talking to a young person who disagreed with him. They were debating gun violence when the shot rang out. His last act on this earth was to listen respectfully to someone who saw the world differently. They thought they could end the conversation that day. They thought a bullet could succeed where their arguments had failed. And they thought fear would silence what courage had spoken. But they were dead wrong, because Charlie Kirk lit a fire. He showed millions of young Americans that they don't have to accept the garbage they are being fed every day. He proved that one person with courage could change everything. The fire is still burning. In fact, it is burning brighter than ever. And every young conservative who speaks up in a classroom, and every parent who pushes back against the insanity, and every American who refuses to shut up and sit down, and in every Christian who proclaims the gospel of Jesus Christ and the power of faith to heal our hearts and heal this land. Charlie is gone, but the movement grows. The conversations and debates continue. He gave his life for the fight. The least we can do is keep talking and keep telling the truth. And as we close tonight, let us remember that defending Western civilization is not an act of nostalgia. It is an act of stewardship. We are heirs to a legacy purchased by the courage of those who came before us. Men and women who believed that the truth was worth dying for and that freedom was worth defending. To paraphrase the great lion of the West, Winston Churchill, the flame of Christian civilization cannot be extinguished. It may flicker, but it will never go out. That flame burns brightly here at Liberty, in the faith of its students, the vision of its founders, and in the strength of its mission. Our charge is to keep the flame alive, to carry it into a confused world in desperate need of clarity, into a divided culture that needs our courage, and into a dark age that still longs for the light. If we remain faithful to God and to the truths that built this great Western civilization, then our best days and the world's are still ahead. And you have my word. I will never, never stop fighting for you and for the West in every debate that I have, It's what Charlie did with his life. It's what he would want us to do with ours. And we all now have a responsibility to carry these torches into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, failure is not an option. Thank you, Liberty University. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.